So we have Tanya coming up, and she's on creating reusable gift boxes. And we posted in our chat, and for those who RSVP'd in advance, a list of materials if you want to work along with her. And if you're just coming into this session and want to run around and grab the materials, it's any box with two pieces that are separate, any old gift wrap, scissors, tape, and optional a small ruler. And Tanya says, have you noticed how much wrapping paper people throw away during the holidays or at birthdays? Are you trying to slow climate change through your habits? If so, learn how to wrap a box in a sustainable way so that a gift can be given in a decorated box multiple times instead of once. That one box can have multi-leg gifts of gift wrap, time, and money. All right. So Tanya, looks like we got you on screen. Let's test that audio.
All right. Can you hear me well?
Yep, we can hear you.
Thank you so much.
Take it away.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, my friends. Nice to have you along. We're going to have some fun here. I'm going to divide this presentation into a couple of portions. One is I'm going to show you the variety of boxes and how you can, what your resultant box can look like. And then the second part is going to be doing the wrapping of the box itself. So that's when you'll need your materials. So sure, that's fine at any time. If you would like to collect those, grab everything and be ready to go for that second part. So to start with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand up and I'm going to show you various packages. And then when we do the cutting out of the paper itself, I'm going to move my camera down so you can see what I'm doing in front of me. So to start with, what are we working toward and why? And the answer is we are going to try to make a box that is wrapped in a slightly different way than usual. When you have a Christmas or other holiday celebration, you know what the resultant outcome is going to be. Lots of wrapping paper that is just discarded, lots of tissue paper, bows, ribbons, all of those things in a pile going to the landfill. Those items have only had one chance to be used. But here, by just making a slight adjustment in the way that you wrap your gift boxes, it's a box you can continuously use. So I give this to someone for Christmas. It has maybe a tie in it. Or if I want to play games, I put several boxes in it that are smaller and smaller and smaller. And this is like a pair of earrings, but doesn't look like one. That's what we're working toward, minimizing the amount of resources that you use, the wrapping paper you have to go out and buy, the money you have to spend, the time you have to spend, and then the whole pandemic piece of having to put on full gear to just go out and buy some wrapping paper. So you're going to take some wrapping paper you have around your house, and we're going to turn it into these variety of boxes. So as you see what I did here, in this case, I wrapped both sides. And in some cases, I let the box dictate to me. So this was like a really nice, you can't tell well with the camera color, but it's like a tan box. And I thought, well, hey, I've got some really nice paper I'd like to use multiple times again. So I decided to wrap only the top part. So you can see how it was a red box underneath. This was one of my early boxes. It was candy or something. So I reused this box by putting this pretty wrapping paper on it. And so it's got both colors. It's very complementary. You don't always have to wrap both halves. In fact, that's part of the game. Part of the game is figuring out how much wrapping paper do you need to put on it. Sometimes you're just wrapping the lid. And in this case, so you can see I wrapped this texture. You can't tell well on the camera, but the texture sort of suggested the pattern on the top. And I said, well, hey, all right. Then what I'm going to do is when I put a scarf or whatever I give the person in there, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap that top piece. So you can see what principle we're working toward. You can see how we're just going to go over the edges and we're going to tape down the edges. And the box can be used multiple times over, depending on how you want to add accoutrements. And we'll talk about that in just a second. I'm going to show you the miniature version. So this is the birthday. As you say, it can be used for many different occasions. In this case, this would be like a birthday gift, I made big versions of this. I just want to show you the small ones because it can get a little overwhelming. Okay, this wrapping paper, that was a really pretty bottom box. And I said, well, yes, only need 1/2 to be wrapped. Then I did the opposite. So in this case, the bottom of the box was slightly damaged. And I said, well, what I'm going to do is just have that part and have the black be very complementary on the top. Now, as far as the bows go, we can talk about that a little bit later as well, but what I did here to make this a sustainable, reusable version is I put just a piece of flat tape on the top, say that 5 times fast, and then I made a little loop. You know how you make those tape loops? So I made a little tape loop that I put on the bottom of the bow, and that way I give it to Kathy Gents for Christmas. And then she says, you know, I really don't like that. I don't like that red ribbon. And she says, you know what, I'm going to go put some blue ribbon on it. And then you can just keep changing it out or putting a different bow. It's very versatile. Early on, I made this silly little cat box because I thought it would be fun. It's like an all occasion. And then the other thing is sometimes you don't need to wrap things at all. This is a very much of a spring box, birds and flowers. It's going to go to my mother-in-law with a little gift in it. It doesn't need wrapping at all because it's already decorated. So I'm going to put the item in there, and then I'm going to, you know, put it in brown paper and ship it off. And brown paper can be recycled and reused. And sometimes boxes come already, you know, decorated. Sometimes the box itself. So you're really looking at what you've got in front of you, what you want to use, and what you want to turn it into. And, you know, can go be everything from A to Z. One of the things I did yesterday was I took this picture from the newspaper, and you can't see it well in the camera, but it's the Colorado River. And this is the land at a rusty gate. And I have a friend who's from Colorado, and I thought, okay, I've got this like natural looking color box, beautiful. And this brown would complement it nicely. So, and I thought it'd be kind of special for this particular person. So you can always take various materials that you just think would be fun to have on the outside of a package. I wish I had a calendar page of a flower, because flower pages from, this one's such a pretty picture of these beautiful women. And I'm going to use that to wrap a package, or you can use a calendar picture when it's Thanksgiving, gobble, gobble. So many fun things you do, and I can do. And I saw one person took comics and wrapped, and I thought that is a great idea. Paper that was on its way to the landfill anyway after being read, but now has a second life. And that's what we're shooting for here. All right. So does anybody have any questions or comments so far with the variety of ways you can approach a box? And
not yet, Tanya.
Nothing
but
yet.
You got a couple compliments on how pretty the boxes are, and
Right.
that they love the fruit gift boxes. They're so sturdy, and you know, you could just reuse them as is right away.
Absolutely.
And Lynette says she uses calendar pages to decorate see-through plastic storage containers. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually learned how to make envelopes with those. You know, making an envelope is not that hard. You basically make the shape out of cardboard and you just fold it. It has a big bright blossom on the front like a hibiscus flower, and it just looks spectacular. Somebody sent that to me and I said, I am definitely duplicating that.
Nice. And then you got another comment from Facebook that says that using the color clippings from newspapers and magazines is terrific and eco-friendly.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Good. The message is getting through. That's fantastic. Glad you're enjoying that.
All right. You're caught up on the chat for now.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So the next part we're going to do is, if you have your supplies around, we're going to show you how to do that. I saw this, what is kind of like a purpley looking shoebox. I thought a shoebox might be pretty versatile for people, and do feel free to ask me questions at any time. So this box had like a little water damage to it, and it had gotten some damage on the corner. I said, okay, well, you know what? This box is in good, the bottom's in good condition, but the top could use a little help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it in this silly animal paper. And So I'm using this old piece. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my lid, I'm going to run my lid in this direction. And now I'm going to aim the camera down so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay. So how do you do this? What is the technique? And the answer is, when you're cutting it out of your piece of paper, you want to be able to have adequate paper to go over the edge. That's what you're shooting for. So this has like a natural marker because the brown or whatever, the dark color against the light, it's easy to see what I'm going to want to cover. So what you're going to do is you're going to make it the height. This is where your ruler comes in. So you can make it the height of the box itself. I tend to kind of eye it, but some people like precision. So that's about a 1.5 inches. And then the inside at the most is 1/2 of an inch. So basically I'm looking for a 2-inch border on all sides. Depending on how precise a person you are, you might be one of those people who wants to, me, I just sort of eyeball it like, oh yeah, that's about right. That's about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out my approximately 2 inches on each of the sides. Now I can commit to cutting this paper. And that's approximately, okay. One thing that can help you do this is when you bend it up and you push it over, you can make a crease. And the crease helps you see where you were. And so you know to cut, like in this case, about 1/2 inch above that crease. And that way I know I'm getting into that area correct. You know, I'm getting adequate coverage of the end. All right, we'll put our remainder aside. All right, the next step you're going to do is you're going to kind of put, oh, I forgot to say at the beginning, depending on your paper, if it runs a certain direction, it may or may not matter to you if like the pig and the cow are facing this way or facing this way. That may or may not matter to you. Every now and then, like working with fabric, directionality can be important. So that's just something to keep in mind if you can. Frankly, it looks fantastic every time you do it. Doesn't even matter. All right, so you aim it approximately in the middle, and you're just going to take a little piece of your tape, and you're going to just kind of tack it down. That's basically what you're doing. You're just kind of creating like a tentative plan here. Now, here's where the tricky part comes in. What I want to do is use this pencil so that you're able to see what I'm doing here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this into the corner. See how best you're able to see this. So my finger's kind of big. I thought a pencil might help. So I put a pencil in the corner, and that helps me. It makes a nice clinch into the corner. Oh boy, that's not the easiest to see. And that way you can fold your little edge over. Then when you fold your edge over, then you're going to flatten this piece over here. And we're ending up with more than enough paper to cover. So anyway, let me do that on both corners. So again, you're just sort of pushing it into the corner. Using your finger can be fat, but a pencil can be more precise. Pulling your paper, kind of pulling your paper out to get it to go over that edge. And then you're smashing. It's just like when you wrap, when you're wrapping a regular old gift. Okay, and then we're going to see how we come up in terms of the edge coming over. Sometimes I'll make like a little clip with that. Sometimes it doesn't really need that. It just depends. Like to me, this one, yeah, it's fine. Then what I do is I take a piece of tape. Now me, I like to use thin slices. Sometimes I have a little narrow margin to fit into. So frankly, cutting the long piece of tape in half helps. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to one corner and try to hold down that piece. And you're going to go around your entire box top. Sometimes what I do, as people do with gift giving, sometimes they'll bend over this corner so that it has a very pretty edge. And that may or may not be important with your paper. You can decide. So you're just going to go around your edge and you're going to just put a little delicate piece of tape around each of the edges. So again, making a corner, pressing it into the corner. Okay, making a crease and then pressing this down. Last corner over here with the pig face. Pushing it into the corner again. And then pressing this down flat. Are people following this? Does this make sense to people? I just want to make sure that I'm answering any questions people have, because I know it may look simple to some people, but other people are like, I really don't follow what that was. So
yeah, I think you're doing a great job, and the camera is showing it really well, Tanya.
Good.
You have one comment saying, instead of Scotch tape, you might use Mod Podge or glue stick. Have you tried either of those?
Oh, that is a great suggestion. You know what? I would say, yeah, those are very good ideas. No, I'm glad to get that input. Thank you, because that is a great idea. The only thing about, Mod Podge, would it permanently stick? Because sometimes when I give this to one person and they give it to the next person, it is being manipulated a bit. And yeah, I would think actually glue stick, yeah, that might very well work. And yes, that would be nice. That's why I'm having the tape, because I'm not that big a fan of using plastic tape anyway. So yeah, that's why I just minimize it. So that's a great suggestion. That'll be my next plan. So you're just going around your entire edges. So I'm not going to do the entire thing here because you're going to get the concept, but what I am going to do is just secure it in position. So that came out a little bit short. So sometimes I just take a little pair of scissors and make it come out a little bit more even. Now let me do this opposite one. So sometimes I do that just so it sort of runs down the, there it goes, like at an angle. So, okay, so it's not the best work in the world, but you get the concept, which is the larger important piece here. And this is so fun to do. That's why I've done so many packages. It's really, I thought, this is the sensible thing. Everybody throws away so much paper. It really doesn't have to happen that way. If we get a few more people to replace some of these boxes, it's that many fewer things that are not going to the landfill. And that's what I live for, starving the landfill. That's my goal. All right, so we got ourselves a little pig box cover to go on my sister already spoke up to this box and says, okay, you can give me my next birthday gift in that. So she's already spoken up for that. And then that's when you decide what you want to do with your ribbons and your other fun things. Let's see, now how am I doing on time? Because I have another piece I want to add if I have time.
You have about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Yep.
10 minutes? Okay, great. 10 minutes is just right. So I also want to talk to you about doing tags. Now, what I've done a lot of is making tags out of old Christmas cards. So I'm sure there are other people who have done this. So I just took the part of the card that I thought was very pretty. In this case, I just put a little ribbon with a bead on the end of it. And so that's making the tag itself. Then I'll talk to you about attaching the tag. Sometimes I just make little fun things because it's just fun to do. And again, so Christmas, and you can decide if you want it to be an openable piece or if you want it to just be a single tag. And I'm going to show you the demonstration of that and how to attach it to the package. So let's take this giant package that I have here, and I'm going to show you how to attach what you can do with this tag. So what you're doing here is you're going to wrap your box. Actually, you know what? Yeah, okay. You're going to wrap your box. So you put your ribbon underneath it. I know this silver ribbon isn't the easiest thing to see, But again, if you get it conceptually, that's the main point here. All right. So when, let's say I'm going to be giving this, suggests either someone with a holiday birthday in January because it's snowy, or it's going to be a Christmas gift. So who knows, whatever. But what you're going to do is you're going to take your tag. I'll show you a silver tag that I'm going to make. I'm just going to put a little temporary piece of tape there to hold that for just a moment. You're going to take your silver tag and you're going to put a hole in it. So likewise, this tag. So this is some little animals together. I think it's so fun seeing them together. And a hole punch becomes a fun addition here. You take your hole punch and you're going to take a piece of your ribbon from your collection here. Sorry, I take that back. Okay, so this is where I'm showing you the concept of attaching. I would make this shorter, but I'm not actually wrapping this box to give it someone. So I'm gonna hold the ribbon back. But what you're doing is you're just using the hole and you're making it into a reusable tag. That is to say, it's from the Christmas card. You've cut it out, you've put your inscription in there to your person. And this is how you're attaching it. You're not having to use tape like that person had suggested, if you can avoid using tape. And this is where you can do all your, squigglies with, you can see that this has got lots of fun little squigglies. And if people are familiar with how to make the squigglies, this is where you take your scissors and you just pull it along the ribbon and it makes it do that. And that is loads of fun. So that's what I said. I take old Christmas cards, cut out the heart of, whatever part seems to be like a really nice part. This was off of some gift somebody gave me. I thought it was just so cheerful and fun. And so my concept there is that I would take one of these Christmas boxes and in fact, use my little snowman guy to be the tag on the top. So once again, you put your gift, the top of the gift at the bottom. You come around here. And you're going to tie up your little thing. Maybe you can put your little piece of tape there. There's your tag to your person, to Jimmy from Tanya with oodles of love. Have a great Christmas. And then Jimmy's going to open this. He's going to open this box and he's not going to have anything to waste. He's just going to have the ribbon, which is going to come right off. The tag, yeah, okay. You could now recycle it since it's got a designation in it. Or if you're like me, you just cut the front of it off and then you use the other side. That's what I do all the time. I just cut off the one half and preserve it. So in any case, then he's got this box, which he then is going to go ahead and give to the next person and give a gift in it. So that way that it can be perpetually reused. That's the name of the game here. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that aspect?
No questions yet, Tanya.
Okay. I'm going to bring another piece over here. I'm just going to grab it and bring it across. And I'm going to show you how conserving of resources you can be. And that is, you're going to have your lovely ironing board. You've got your iron here. And you've got this beautiful wrap that you really like, but darn it, it was just so crumbly and bumbly. And you said, I'd really like to use this to wrap one of the lids, even though it's just so badly, crumbled up. And so here's what I'm doing about it. I'm going to go ahead and take a low iron. I've got it on about 2. And I'm going to just give my gift wrap a little bit of an ironing, and I'm going to get out the major wrinkles. And then when you put it on the surface of a box, like the box I was showing you, that was the very neutral box, the Colorado box. When you put it on a neutral box like that, this tissue paper is fantastic. It wraps very easily because it's so delicate. And so it wraps really, really nicely around. It's very malleable. I will say this Hanukkah box, this is a two-sided paper, so you can use either side. It's very dense. It was not as easy to work with. It made a pretty box, but it wasn't so easy to work with it. In contrast to what I've got in my hand right here, tissue is incredibly easy to wrap around. It's so malleable and so versatile. And then, you know, as a person who gives gifts and receives gifts, you're used to people giving you gift bags, and gift bags are pretty good, but you know, my goal is not having to buy anything. My goal is, what do you already have in your house? And that's the whole green elf philosophy. You know, what do you already own that you can put into service, like the magazines? What do you already have at your house that you can use? And instead of generating new materials. And so that's what I find. I love this challenge. I actually really love to play this game and see how reusable I can go. You know, like, oh, I have this. I think I want to make it into something completely different. And that's where this all began. It's like, why are we wasting all this wrapping paper every Christmas holiday? It's so disappointing to see all the paper that goes away. And that's really not necessary. And so, as I said at the beginning, you can wrap your boxes with any holiday you choose. You know, you can wrap your box with, you know, you can do your Easter thing. Actually, this morning I was doing a baby. I was looking at this pretty cute, you can't see it well, but it's a little animals. And I thought, for a baby wrap, you know, and I took my iron to that because that was gonna be fun to put into service. Some little kid's gonna love that. And so yeah, you have your, you know, you have this all this lovely wrap that comes. I mean, honestly, this wrap itself is beautiful. It doesn't have to be so over the top with the bag and the wrap, but that's okay. But the goal, as I said, is to reuse stuff. And that's the goal. And then sometimes you have, maybe you have an event that is, you know, you just want something that's very cheerful for your friend whose favorite color is orange or yellow, whatever you may call this, like a school bus color. It's like, I think I'd like that to be a nice outer wrap for her. And other ways to wrap gifts that are very conservative of resources would be wrapping items in a scarf. Like, case in point, I have a child I mentor, and this child, I found a crazy little t-shirt, and I said, this is something she would really like. So I wrapped her gift in the t-shirt, even though the t-shirt itself was the gift. And with these gifts, these reusable boxes, you might, since it's maybe a new concept to some people, you might want to tell them the box itself is part of the gift, that they reuse it. This is a perpetually reusable gift box. They give it to someone, they change the ribbon on it, or they change the bow, the tag, and that's it. It's minimal effort on your part and resources very well used and conserved. And it's just plain fun. I mean, I just love making stuff out of found materials. I just so enjoy finding stuff and recreating it into other ways of being. It becomes other things. And
Thank
so
you,
that
Tanya. So
oh yes, thank you so much. I sure enjoyed this.
yeah, we're just at about a minute left. I was gonna say, let's turn the camera up a little higher so we can see your face again and say thank you properly.
Okay.
And I love all your creativity, your reuse, and we all know that tissue paper is not recyclable with other papers. So that's a really great point to iron or reuse it. And you had a couple comments in the chat, and Dwight says an idea for a tag would be a very small chalkboard or whiteboard with some kind of see-through cover so it doesn't get wiped off. And not sure if such a thing exists, but there is such a thing as chalkboard paint. So I have tags, plant tags that I've painted with chalkboard paint, and you just chalk on the name of the plant. So that could easily be used as a gift tag as well. You just wipe on and off the chalkboard on these little tags. And Laura says, do you ever use fabric, which you did talk about, wrapping with the t-shirt and from a pretty skirt you wear? And would you use glue, not tape, if you were wrapping your box in fabric? But you were talking about just wrapping it semi-permanently, not permanently.
Correct. So that would be if you're wrapping the entire outside and then giving that box, and that box is basically a naked box. But these boxes that are kind of half decorated or whole decorated, that's a different story. And actually, with fabric, I'd say probably a glue gun would be your better bet than using like an Elmer's glue. Elmer's glue, it doesn't have the same amount of staying power, especially with fabric. It runs through and it gets pretty messy. Hot glue is not too much fun either. You really can burn yourself, but I'd say little dots of hot glue and using a popsicle stick to flatten out that glue and get it to adhere would be a way that you could deal with fabric on a box.
That's a great
tip. Yeah, so that would be starting all the way.
You can also do a cool temp hot glue, so it's not so hot that your finger, right. Jonathan has raised his hand, so we're going to call on Jonathan to unmute himself.
Okay.
Oh, Tanya, I only wanted to say that I've learned so much from you since you've been in the time bank, Tanya. Thanks so much.
You are certainly welcome. I love being able to share. I think the time bank is fabulous. And I give Kathy Jentz a lot of credit for spearheading this way back when. She seems to have been one of the major players. And I know there are many players behind the scenes, of which you are one, who are also making the train continue to run. I'm so glad we have the time bank. I just adore it.